So I think we're going to start with Alex. What do you think? Alex, when you got involved in this, did you have any sense of what you were really getting involved in and what it was going to be, both climbing El Capitan, but climbing it with a crew following you and all the things that went into that?
Not exactly. I mean, I had a pretty good sense of what the climbing challenge would entail. I've been thinking about it for many years before we even started the film, and I certainly built it up in my mind as you know, the biggest challenge I would ever undertake as a climber. I didn't really know what the filming would entail, certainly not the verite side of it, which is mostly what Claire was shooting and just how immersive the whole process would be in my life. Just because I'd never done anything like that before. I mean, you know, who's to know? But at the same time, I mean, I trusted the crew from the beginning, and you know, I worked with Jimmy Chin, the co-director, quite a bit over the years, and so I think from the beginning I just committed to the whole process pretty wholeheartedly. You know, I was like, okay, if this is what you guys need to do, you know, let's just do it right. And so, you know, we just all saw through the end.
Brave man.
You know.
Well, but also, well, in some ways, very brave too. I mean, because you know, you've made films. You made films about climbs. You made a wonderful Yo Sanduro film that it was the first time I heard that I love. If you don't love Yo Sanduro, you can be now. I really, the whole reason I discounted, I want you to do a sequel to that film. But you know, for this, there were very distinct challenges. And so I want you to sense, because you have many hats in this as co-director, producer. What was the thing that you identified from the beginning of like, this is going to be an issue, and we're going to have to figure this out?
Gravity.
Gravity never lies. Yes.
But on that note, I'd just like to recognize our producer Shannon Dill, who's here. Shannon, just stand up so we can wave and clap for you, or maybe she's not going to cheers. Because Shannon definitely, I mean, it's a testament to the whole crew. I mean, yes, in the film you see us weigh the ethical kind of questions here and whether or not, you know, we can even do this. But it was we set certain parameters, and it really came down to this elite group of cinematographers led by Jimmy, who are professional climbers and who are close to Alex, and who knew how to shoot this, and who could kind of rise to the challenge of shooting this and also understand and be able to kind of judge the risks involved. That was not my job at all. That was very much Jimmy and his high angle team. And it was also a question of like whether or not as a group we trusted each other. And did we trust ourselves to make the right decisions? Did we trust Alex to make the right decisions? As you see in the film, he makes a very difficult decision to turn around. And that was actually a really important day in our production where we understood that we actually made the right bet here. And then it came down to insulating Alex as best we could, and this really came down to production and cinematography from our daily stresses, from everything that we're thinking about, which clearly you understand, right? Gravity is a real thing. But Alex doesn't have to be part of that, because it was really important, and Jimmy is the one who brought this to life, this idea of preserving Alex's experience. Like, this was still Alex achieving and pursuing the greatest dream of his life. So he better enjoy that. You know, we're a big circus around him, but we should be really good at what we do to allow him to enjoy it.
In that process and allowing an experience to happen as well as to be documented, for you there were so many elements. And I know that you're a pro at this, and I know that you work this out. You have to work this out meticulously. But what were the surprises that you didn't anticipate, by the very nature of the word surprise, and how did you rectify them literally hanging from the side of the mountain?
Well, I mean, when you're making a documentary film, nothing is scripted. Everything's a surprise. So every single day you get up and what you're shooting surprises you. But it's about being patient, being empathic. It's about like paying attention to what Alex needs, like being close or backing off if you can tell he needs space to think about things or figure something out. So it's just being very observational and listening on, telling the story. And really, we had an all-star team of people behind the camera on this. You know, we had a whole team of like high-angle cinematographers who are elite-level climbers, who you couldn't make this film without. Like any substitution of people, and you probably wouldn't have the film, because everyone has to deliver all the time. And so the entire filmmaking process was a surprise, because I mean, I can remember seeing John.
And Bob, of course, let's talk about Bob's play. That as you know, editors are often the unheralded saviors of films.
This is the savior of the film. Okay, Bob is our closest and dearest collaborator.
So we've talked about gravity, but I want to talk about math for a second. How many hours of footage did you get in total?
Well, we stopped counting at 700, so somewhere between 700 and 800 hours.
Closer to 800.
All right. So for you, Give us a sense of the process, because it wasn't, there's many ways in which people take them. Sometimes they just get all the footage delivered, they work out an assembly, they figure out where it's going to go. Was that your experience here, or how did you approach this?
Well, we started talking about this soon after Mayru, which is a film we did together before this. And they began shooting in the spring and fall, and I started cutting in January, which was 6 months before Alex made the climb. So we had that time to look at the film and kind of see what we had accomplished as far as gathering information and what to do with it and kind of where to go, what to emphasize from that point on. So that was helpful.
Alex, we've talked a little bit here about your experience. We've seen your experience. What has it been like for you, your experience since the films have been made, since the film came out? Since, I'll mention a little thing called the Oscars occurred, and the film won one, and now up for 7 Emmy nominations.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's been pretty crazy. Yeah, it's it's hard to. I really went into it with no expectations and I know nothing about filmmaking, nothing about this whole industry at all, and so the whole thing has been a pretty wild ride. And as you see in the film, the priority for me was always to do the actual climb. And coming out of the whole experience, that's still the thing that I probably am most proud of. I did actually climb El Cap by myself, and that is deeply satisfying.
That's what a round of applause.
That said, though, I think that as the film has, it's just been remarkable seeing the response. I can't believe so many of you guys came to see it tonight. That's, I'm kind of touched by that, and it's been, almost a year, and just so many people have seen the film, and that's moving. My God, I can't believe people are all going to watch rock climbing. I know that I love it, but it's like good to see other people enjoy it too.
One of the elements of this is this film. Of course, I talked about you guys win the Oscar, which you totally deserve. But it's interesting to watch the relationship because documentary filmmakers in this golden age of documentary, a lot of the relationships you talk about creating a film, you talk about making a film, you talk about putting a film together, and then there's the film being shown. And you have a very unique and very aggressively energetic partner in Nat Geo. And I wanted to get a sense from you how that's contributed, you think, to the film's success, and what do you think that partnership has taught you as a producer and a director?
Well, to begin with, Nat Geo, they financed the film, so they took this incredible leap of faith where we said, listen, there's a guy who's going to try to climb a mountain with no ropes. You can't tell, maybe. We're not, there are 3 possible outcomes, if you guys can imagine what they are. We don't know when it's going to happen, and you can't tell anyone that we're doing it.
They said okay.
They said okay. And they were, National Geographic from the very beginning has been remarkable partners. And I think one is the entire spirit of free soloing El Cap represents like what National Geographic really kind of means, like it's the next frontier, and also the respect for human achievement and human aspirations and dreams. But in terms of releasing the film, we really can't be more grateful. They supported us, they trusted us, they listened to us, and I think that's a very special thing for a documentary. And it doesn't happen all the time. So it was really a perfect storm.
Claire, in terms of, yes, you can clap for national geographic. That was like a one clap. Claire, was there, in hindsight, something you wish that you guys had done, or a piece of equipment you wish you had brought when you were doing this? Now then you're just like, next time, pal.
Next time we're bringing a rope. The whole thing way less stressful.
It'll be a lot less stressful for everyone involved. There was definitely moments where it would be nice to be able to get more aerial footage, but filming in a national park, you can't use a drone. So you have to rely on a helicopter, which is a whole different proposition. So it would have been nice to be able to use more drones for perspective. Would have made our job easier sometimes.
Drones have been such a dramatic change. I hate the phrase game changer, but it might be actually true in this case for documentary films. It used to be, documentarians. The equipment has become more agile, become smaller, and now drones provide a production value that so many films just never would have been able to get anything close to. For you as a cinematographer, do you think that's a good thing, or do you think that people drone out too much?
I think they're overused. They're kind of like the time lapse of this generation for documentary filmmakers.
Ouch!
But if you think about rather than scaling up or down a mountain with a camera, you can just put a little drone there. For us, it would have been really nice.
Well, Bob, for you, were there choices that you had to make in the editing that you made with the team that you look back and go, yeah, I would have finessed that a little bit. I would have done that a little differently.
Oh yeah, lots. I mean, you rethink.
You never really stopped doing
Yeah.
Talking to Bob Eisenhardt.
Yeah, I mean, every time you see it, you recut. But no. I mean, we took the time that was needed to do this properly, I think. So, and you don't get that very often, to be allowed the right amount of time. And this is not this is real cinema verite, where you have no idea what you're doing going in. You're merely following the subject, trying to record what happens, and then trying to figure it out later. So it's in the cutting room. You're trying to figure out what the story was, what the emphasis is, how to tell that story. So that all happens afterwards, which is kind of the reverse process of a fiction film. So that's why it takes so long. I mean, it took us almost 18 months to edit.
You and Jimmy have made a number of films now where people go up hard objects with lots of gravity pulling on them. Is that you guys gonna keep on that, or what are you thinking you want to do? What mountain do you want to scale next?
I like to think of them as great stories. So we'd like to continue telling some great stories. But I'd love to go back to your surprise question, because I feel like we'd all agree on the great surprise of this film, besides it winning an Oscar and speaking to all these people.
I was surprised you made it to the job. I mean, I know a lot of people who watch this film and who've watched it more than once, and they still have borderline anxiety attacks. Don't laugh because you know you're caught out. Okay? You know it's true, right? Because you feel so close to this, and as you said, we joked about it, but gravity's real. It happens. What goes down goes down, and I think that there's a feeling of just being so close to something that feels so fragile. And that's always something I loved about this film, is the intimacy of that. Because, Claire, you talked about this with empathy and patience. It's allowing the vulnerability to emerge.
Well, it's interesting because I think a lot of the intimacy and the vulnerability comes from our great surprise, which was several months into making the film when we were already ensconced in the van. Alex met a woman, and he met Sonny. And that's something it's the beauty of non-fiction filmmaking. You truly do not know what's going to happen next. And so who knew that he was going to meet probably the love of his life? They're still going on strong.
So no bachelorette moment here, no.
And he happens to be incredibly emotionally intelligent and self-confident enough to push back on him and be like, hey, I'm going to try to love you for who you are. And suddenly you have him evolving emotionally. So, that was the true surprise for us. And, it was terrifying when it happened. We're like, oh no, is Alex going to be distracted? It was a big deal. It was a really big deal.
I thought you were making The Bachelor. Totally were making The Bachelor.
Well, this is where the Jimmy and myself dynamic comes into play, where I'm like, no, this is the Casanova version of the film. So that was a big surprise. We all had to negotiate it deftly, be it in the edit room, be it Claire sitting through some really awkward conversations which you guys witnessed, and Alex, who found the courage not only to climb a mountain but also to fall madly in love with a woman in front of 15 people, and now thousands and thousands and thousands of people, and have to relive it.
Millions of people. But it's interesting you say that, because that is. You watch this film and you think, as you said, this is going to go three ways, right? Maybe more, none of them good, the rest of them, right? And then it goes this whole other way. And you talked about the wonder of documentary filmmaking. So Bob, I want to ask you, because you're the one who had to make it all make sense in that sense. How do you take something like that of, well, now where is this going to go? This is a whole new wild card that doesn't just happen once. It's not like, oh, I slip and go up. It's like, it might be 2 weeks from now, 3 weeks from now, he might come in and go, no, don't want to do this.
Yeah, we realized we could go be three different films made here, and we just kind of concentrated on making the one where he succeeded, and then trying to tell the story of Sonny entering the scene, which was for us it was kind of a gift from the documentary gods or something, because she did this whole other thing. It became this love story. Yeah. And then the idea of the crew's involvement, I thought was very important. It was something that started from the very beginning. When Alex said he was going to do this, Jimmy actually freaked out. It started to be just a film about Alex doing climbing and not free soloing El Capitan. And so when Jimmy found out, he knew what the consequences were. And they backed off for a while. And that whole idea of the crew being putting pressure on the subject and how that would affect the whole outcome felt like it needed to be part of that story. So we really developed that storyline as well as the Sani storyline and tried to blend them into the climbing of the mountain story.
Alex, we watched this and we learned a lot about you. We learned a lot about your life and your ambitions. So, where is your life and your ambitions now, my friend?
Yeah, no, everybody asks. I don't know. Just still trying to improve as a climber, seek out new challenges. I mean, I trained in the gym today, still trying to get better at what I do. I'll be in Yosemite this season, but I mean, the reality is that there just will never be an objective quite like El Cap that holds that same almost mythic place in both climbing culture and in my own imagination. It really is sort of a once in a lifetime type of objective, and certainly from a cinematic perspective, there'll never be anything quite as beautiful and iconic. Yeah, because everybody asks like, oh, what are you working on now? Like, when's Free Solo 2? And you're like, there's just nothing. Yeah, there's just,
Someone actually asked you, is there going to be a Free Solo 2?
People are like, what's
Free
your
Solo?
project? Like, somebody asked me if I wanted to act in a climbing film thing. I was like, have you seen the freaking movie? I mean, obviously I can't act. But no, people all like want the next big project, and the reality is that, I just keep climbing, keep seeking out challenges, but there'll never be anything quite like that. I mean, it really is a singular objective. And honestly, a singular crew that all came together at the right moment to make the right film about it. It's just not something that you can replicate, I don't think.
Right. It's an extraordinary film, and thank you guys so much for making it and joining us today. Ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause for the stars and the creators behind Free Solo. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. We have a reception we hope you will hang around for and have a good time with us. Thank you to National Geographic, and join us at Deadline Awards Line for more of our screening series in the future. Thank you very much.